Well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signing the Parental Rights and Education bill. The new legislation bans instruction of sexual orientation and gender identity from kindergartners to third grade. Now, critics of the governor include presenters at the Academy Awards saying gay, gay, gay during the ceremony. Why? Because they've dubbed it the Don't Say Gay bill. But either way, signed into law, it's official, done deal. Panelists are back. Governor Scott Walker, Barack, Lori, Holly Turner. Governor, what's it like to run a state and then sign a piece of legislation like that that gets national attention and national backlash, so much so they even made their own title for it?
Yeah, actually, I had a bill where 100,000 people showed up to protest at my Capitol, so I can relate to Governor Ron DeSantis. But I loved his point when he said, you know, I'm not going to get worked up over a bunch of people who defended Harvey Weinstein for years being upset over something they clearly haven't even read. This is so typical of these celebrities and folks in Hollywood. They get all hyped up about stuff. They've never even read it. It's kind of like a lot of folks who got worked over Georgia's law requiring voter ID and other restrictions that were less restrictive than the state of Colorado where they moved the All-Star Game. Typical of the left, typical of the media, typical of celebrities. They don't actually read things, they just talk about it.
Yeah, read the bill. And then once that hashtag gets trending, then it's so hard to counteract the messaging here. Washington Examiner out with this headline, though, saying DeSantis rips Hollywood elites after Oscars mock Florida. And Holly, when you think about, again, if you actually look into the bill, it has to do with teachers and education for kindergarten through third grade. They just don't want to talk about it in the classroom here. Of course, you can talk to your children about whatever when you're at home, and perhaps that's the best place to have those conversations.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'd like to point out is that it doesn't prevent the children or the students from talking about this. There are a lot of examples of, students that had parents of the same sex, them not being able to talk about that, and that's absolutely not what is in this bill. But look, the thing that I love about this situation is that Governor DeSantis is completely free to defend himself and to defend the people of Florida and to sign this bill without any fear of retribution, because the state of Florida is a solidly a red state now. We do not have to really worry about it like we have in the past. And so what we're seeing here is really his freedom to do what's right and to not have to pander to these corporations and to Hollywood. It's really refreshing. And kudos to his team and the Republican Party of Florida for getting him in the situation where he doesn't have to worry about that so much anymore.
So, Barack, but the thing is, and Holly was talking about corporations, Disney. I mean, they are pushing back hard. And again, as I point out, they're the largest employer in the Sunshine State. Disney's pushing hard against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, specifically on this bill here, and their employees, those standing up for, really choosing a side when some would say, really, this is the side of parents, and you're choosing the opposite. But your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, they can't let themselves be held hostage by some group that decides that this bill says what it doesn't say. I mean, really, it's like sending up a bill against crime and calling it the Kill All Puppies bill. I mean, it's an absurd situation that they're going on. And look, as a parent of 3 young children myself, I have to say there's no way that it's appropriate to teach about sex or gender identity or, for that matter, homosexuality, to teach that to anyone, the third grade or even beyond, I think. So it's just not the appropriate point. And like Holly and the governor have said, it's something for the parents to decide themselves. And that's why I like it. The actual title of the bill is about the parental consent and their involvement in making sure their kids know, that they teach them and that they know what the kids are being taught. That's the essence of it. And the fact that the corporations are playing along with this, shame on them. And DeSantis is not being held hostage to it. Good for him.
I didn't know you were dad, by the way, so I'm glad you told us.
Good insight there. Scott Walker, does this become a trend as we inch to the midterms here? Do we see more red states possibly releasing their own sort of legislation that's similar?
Well, I think protecting parents' rights is a big winner, whether you're a red state, a blue state, or somewhere in between. Glenn Youngkin showed that in Virginia last year. I said it repeatedly after the election, don't piss off parents. There were a lot of parents, particularly in Northern Virginia, who weren't necessarily conservative or Republican, but didn't like the fact that they weren't allowed to stand up and defend their children, particularly for that father who stood up and tried to get the school board in Loudoun County to do something about a transgender student who sexually assaulted his daughter. And so this is a big issue, not just specific to this bill, but to parents' rights across the country. And I think it is going to be a big issue come November.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it indeed. Scott Walker, Barack Lurie, and Holly Turner, thank you very much.